Edition of the SoCal Prep Report with Estrella, along with Bob Gibson and Dan DeForest. We'll be talking with them shortly, but here we are giving you an update on another week, and it looks like there's progress being made in the world of high school sports, which is great because there's nothing worse than training your whole life. I mean, it's only a short period in the high school, but still, you've been training since you were a youngster, and nothing like, man, going into your junior or senior year and not being able to play. I just can't fathom what's going through the minds of these youngsters nowadays. But let's bring in Bob Gibson now and Dan DeForest as we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on because there is some movement. How you fellas been doing? Have a good week?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I've been doing good.
Nobody's interested, man, so don't get carried away, all right? We just cruising on to another segue here.
Right.
Anyways, guys, so looks like this week, and today in particular, there was a lot of demonstrations, if you want to call them. Had nothing to do with politics. Had simply athletes, parents, boosters, all wanting to have the state let them open up and start playing sports. The big argument is every other state's doing it. Why not California? It's just the western states that seem to be having an issue right now. And of course the East Coast, and I mean that only the Northeast. So those are the issues right now. But it seems like there's a lot of schools out there that have created football leagues, and they aren't playing now. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going on. Bob, what have you heard about that?
Well, you know the private football that's kind of going on, club football, if you will, quote unquote. A lot of talk about it. If you're on social media at all, you can't escape it. I mean, it's the talk of the town out there amongst coaches and reporters. Boy, there's a lot of back and forth between the perceived negativity of reporters talking about this club football. Coaches saying, "Hey, we got to open things up. This is one way to be able to do it." But in the end, I think everybody can agree. Look, we all want the kids to be able to get out there and play, but the real difference of opinion, obviously, is the health of everybody involved, and whether or not that's going to be compromised through playing on the field. With the kids, I don't know if it's so much in question. With the officials, the referees, that kind of a thing, I think that's where we've talked about this before. I think that's where a lot of the concern lies, and the coaches, right? So rightfully so. But boy, a lot of talk right now, and if you thought club sports was out of hand, and in some sports it may be, it's big in the soccer world and in softball. We got all the basketball stuff that goes on, but football kind of lagged behind when it came to this, but it's here now. I think COVID has pushed it into the forefront, and a lot of parents are saying now, and a lot of kids and a lot of head coaches of the program saying, if you're not going to give us a chance to play this season, we're going to make it work. We're going to find a way to play. Whether or not that's a good idea, that's really what's up for debate right now. Personally, if you ask me, I think if everybody in it is ready to go and everybody knows what the risks are, and certainly the parents have to take responsibility for their children. But if everyone knows what the apparent risks are, then I say, you know what, you got to kind of let people maybe go about this and see how it works. And maybe in a way, it's a way to show the CIF and everybody else at the state level that sports maybe can get going on a certain level if you see success in this club football. No? Nobody agree with that?
Oh, I couldn't hear him.
No.
Uh,
You couldn't hear me. Could Rich hear me?
I could hear you. I have some opinions on that too. It actually leads into kind of like a little bit of the Wild West when you have those clubs teams where you bring in a bunch of guys. There not a lot of control over it. You have stacked teams. You get, like the divisions are divided up, talent and size. So it could get kind of, it could cause injuries and other things that also could be safety concerns. But yeah, they should. I want them to get back and play regular high school football. There's a lot of protesters out there.
Everybody's pointing to the Midwest and to the South that some of these schools were able to complete a full 15-game schedule. Okay, 15 games. That doesn't tell me there was a COVID problem on those teams, because if there was a COVID problem, there would not have been 15 games in that season. They wouldn't have been able to complete that many games.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. You wouldn't be able to to get that many games, in, an abbreviated schedule, whatever you want to call it. Now, boys volleyball, we have a schedule now. We have some sort of a calendar for boys volleyball. They're talking about 20 matches and then quickly, shifting into playoff mode. Volleyball is something that really hasn't gone away. Club volleyball in full swing right now. A lot of clubs still playing. So volleyball with a mask on looks like it's doable. And as far as I can see, I haven't heard many stories of any rise in COVID cases or anything like that. That's not an official count or anything. I just haven't heard or seen anything about it. So maybe certain sports, and we already thought about, hey, baseball, softball. These are probably sports you could do a little more easier than basketball, which everybody's in close contact with each other. Obviously football. That goes without saying. But volleyball with two teams on other sides of the net from each other, probably a little easier to get something going there.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. And again, I'm pointing to the models of the South and the Midwest where they played. Yeah, it wasn't. It was a little bumpy here and there, but the athletes got in a season. If there would have been deaths attributed to this, they would have been reporting it like crazy, and it didn't happen.
No doubt. And I really think you're seeing what you're hearing from is the polar opposites of what I think most people are in the middle. Most people are in the middle saying, gosh, we'd love to see a chance for kids to play. Yeah, we're a little nervous about things, but why don't we give it a shot? But you're hearing from the polar opposite side, right? Everything's always polarized. You're hearing the one camp that says, no, everybody's going to get COVID and die from this thing. And then you got the whole other side of that one where people are saying, there's no problem at all. Don't worry about it. Just get out there and play. So I think those are the two camps you hear the loudest from. But I think most people reside in that middle where it's like, hey, if we're responsible about this and we take precautions and we do things the right way, I don't think there's any reason why we can't see some sort of a season in most sports, if not all.
And it's imperative. California should have been playing this year. It's imperative. You have 2 or 3 years in a row the defending champion comes out, national champion comes out of California. Those guys are ready to play. I'm sure Mater Dei and Bosco would have been happy to play a full schedule on the road if they could have.
Well, a lot of talk about that, whether any of those fraternity schools, especially Mater Dei and Bosco, because they're national powers, if they would be willing to freelance. Now, I tell you, everybody's button-lipped, right? Somebody asked me earlier, what's going on with the Trinity, right? And I said, I haven't heard a word. And, I got my ear pretty close to that league, have not heard a word, a peep come out of there. So either everybody's tight-lipped about it because something's going on, or there really isn't anything going on. And hard to think there isn't something at least going on behind the scenes a little bit. There's always a plan B, right?
About these club teams, them being stacked, because it is like, it's got to be like a draft, right?
It'd be crazy. Those would get out of control. I think the sizes would get too big. You get the best players in one team. They get oversized. You get quick. You get fast. It's regulated through CIF, which makes it a lot better. They're evenly matched. You got this school. Can't have like a whole pro offensive line out there just wiping people out. That's how you get hurt. So, I'm not sure how they're going to regulate that or the governing body behind that, but it would be tough to do it in a club setting, I would think.
I don't think anybody's looking to win a championship. I'm sure they all want to win all their games, but to hear some of the coaches talk about it has nothing to do with winning and losing. It has everything to do with getting film on some of these kids who are going to go to college. They have talent. Why should they be held back?
I think that's true, but still, it's just how coaches are about winning and losing. No matter what they say, they're going to be hungry enough to go and get the best players. That's what they do.
I agree.
So it's very tough for them to hold back. I'm sure.
I agree.
They're not going to stack team.
Well, this is just a here today, gone tomorrow league anyway, as far as I'm concerned, because if and when this pandemic is over with, things will probably go back to status quo with the CIF Southern Section governing the Southern Section. Of course, LA Section will govern their part, and San Diego and so forth and so on. So they'll all going back to governing their own stuff. But right now, there will be no regulations. Whether any section in CIF gives their blessings, it doesn't matter. And they can't say no. They don't have the right to. The sections only carry out the principal's wishes. And I think a lot of them, if they don't want their teams to participate or their players participating, they just say, no, you can't do it. Now, I don't see how they can stop them from playing club. That's not their right. But they can certainly stop the team as a team to go play in one of these things and not use the school's name. So they definitely have a right to do that. So that would mitigate some of it. But they got to play, man, because you know what's going to happen? This whole thing will collapse. And you know what I'm talking about, the recruiting, all the other stuff that goes on. It's all going to collapse.
Well, it's funny. I read a thing. You bring up member schools and CIF. I read somewhere the other day. I'd love to be able to give credit, and whoever wrote it, I apologize, but whoever reported it. But out of the 350 or 60 member schools in the southern section, something like 338 had paid their dues. I did the math. There was like 26 schools maybe that hadn't paid their dues yet, and so we don't know the reasons why. You know, maybe they don't have the money to pay the dues, or maybe it's the Trinity schools, as we talked about, maybe not paying their dues and looking to break away. And I mean, that's the other side of it, right? And we're going to start the rumor mill going. We can talk about that, but I just thought that was an interesting number. There was like about 26 schools, I think, somewhere in there that hadn't paid their dues to CIF.
But you know what? That's not bad.
That tells you mostly everybody's still on board, though. Almost everybody's still on board wanting to have a CIF.
I don't know how those numbers are correct, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's almost 600 member schools in the southern section alone, and they're not playing sports. So I don't understand how they're paying their dues. And if that's true, then how come the southern section's in debt by $275,000? Because those were the expenditures from the start of the school year till they finally decided to shut things down. So, I mean, that's what I got to assume the debt came from.
I'm going to jump on the handy dandy thing here and see if I can find it. Keep talking, but I'll see if I can bring up that number, because I saw it, and I could be wrong on the numbers, but it was basically a very small percentage. It was reported. I'd like to find it so I can
look, you know who can blow the lid off this thing right now is Dan, but Dan's keeping tight-lipped too. You guys are all under the gun, man.
I think it's crazy that they're not letting them play. 35 different states are playing football. Why not let Southern California out of the bottle? You know, so I think on the 25th we'll find out something, and hopefully, you know, maybe we'll have a delayed season. But yeah, I don't know. The answer.
There will be no fall sports in the southern section. So if you're thinking southern section right now, if you're watching this, it ain't going to happen. City section is pretty much dead. They're not going to come back this year. There's just no way. It's not happening. So the fall sports season, I have very little hope to see any sports. I do believe the club season will go as long as it wants in football right now, because most of the seniors are out. They're not coming back, and they got to get theirs if they're able, meaning that if they're able to get a scholarship, go get it. If it's possible, go get it. Make it happen. And Dan, that's why these games are being played. And I know you got a team out there. You're just not telling anybody. No, right?
There's going to be a lot of, you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of showcasing and, you know, filming of individuals doing individual workouts, but it's going to be tough. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I guess, you know, that's a good point. At least they get to play some ball, you know, and, but it's frustrating. I don't know why we can't play 35 states. It's crazy. So, anyway, I hope they lift the restrictions and at least do something. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You don't think they're going to play anything at all?
No, I think it's done. It's too big a mountain to climb. It'd be very difficult to do that. You know, I just think it is. You know, how are you going to get everybody back out to practice? Some schools have already packed it in. I'm sure some of the principals have said, no, we're done. We're just done. I mean, it saves a lot of money in their budget. So there's other reasons other than just playing. I think if there was an unlimited budget, yeah, they would still try to make it happen. But the fact remains is the schools dodge a big bullet by not housing football. That's the most expensive sport at any school to play. The most expensive.
It brings in money, though.
Well, true, but it's a little late, man. That's all.
No, I agree with you. I don't see a path to football. I really don't. If you pin me down on it, I really don't see a path to a sizable, you know, any kind of a meaningful football season, unfortunately. And nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to even consider that. But you have to think, like, it's just not going to happen this year, right? We got to move past it and try to get to some of the sports that we can play, you know. And I don't know if we can. We just talked about a few. I think that could easily probably be
Well,
navigate these things a little more.
Right, I think so. I think they get like, what's wrong with them doing cross country and track and swimming and things that really don't have a lot of content.
Those things make total sense.
You know, they don't bring revenue, but they're still sports.
Which is why I think everybody's hanging on to football, because that's the revenue, right? I mean, basketball brings very little. There's a couple other sports that have something, at the gate, but football brings in the money, right? We know that. So if there's any money to be brought into a school, it's brought in by football for the most part. So if you punt, you use a bad pun on the football season, you're losing any chance for any money, and that stinks, right? That sucks for everybody. But it's just the reality, I think, right now, unfortunately.
Well, like I said, we're not going to see organized football from the teams, from the schools again. Now, just so you guys know, I have it on good authority, but I'm not relying, finking on my source, so to speak, ratting them out. But they've already been playing for a couple of weeks already. Some of these schools, the teams have already been playing. It's been a couple of weeks into it. They're playing out in the Inland Empire or somewhere. I'm not even giving that location out, but they're already playing. They're already playing. So that tells me that tells me pretty much no matter what happens on the 25th, football will not be part of that thing. And again, part of it too is it's going to be a quagmire, man. You try to throw that schedule together that quick and do football, basketball, wrestling, possibly baseball, and the other sports, you're not going to have enough officials. I don't care. Most of these officials cross over and they do other sports. They just don't specialize in one. A handful do, but for the most part, football officials cross over into basketball, into baseball, I know quite a few officials that do that. So there's just no way to facilitate it, guys. There's no way. Plus the facilities. Where are you going to get all the facilities to do all these games?
And I think coaches know that in their heart of hearts. I think they do know that, which is why they're moving on, right? Your coach is saying, hey, we're willing to go to a club season. We're willing to do something, club-wise, and put something together with our kids. I think that's why. I think they know that the handwriting's on the wall.
Yep, that they do. All right. Guys, that's it, man. I'm already getting the wrap up. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, we're going to have to keep an eye on this thing, man. Have to see what happens. I mean, I'd love to go out and get some video of some of this stuff, and promote some of these kids. But right now, everything's on the down low. I'll tell you this much. I was told today that this is how it is. If you're playing in the game and you're an athlete, you get all you can bring in is 4 people. Probably mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever. But that's all you're allowed. So they are, being safe. They are distancing. They're not filling these stadiums. Families only. This is strictly so the athletes can play. It's not a competitive thing in terms of we're going to win the national championship on this first-year club league that probably won't be here next year. So most of it is to get athletes seen by major universities.
I know of at least one club volleyball program, or at least there was a tournament, and there was no parents allowed into the arena. Another one coming up that I've heard they're allowing 1 parent per player into the arena. So I mean, I'm surprised 4. That's a big number.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks again. Dan DeForest. He's America's Realtor, by the way, out here in Irvine. Hey, John. Trying to get Conti over here, so we're going to get ready to do the. Yeah, John's here. John's here in studio. He's getting ready to work the other show. But John wanted to say a couple. Come on, John. No, go ahead. Get on in here, man. Nobody can see you yet. Watch out. Don't step on your microphone.
Here I am. What's going on?
Put your mic on. Nobody's going to hear you, man. What are you doing?
I'm not prepared, man.
Did you forget about how to do these shows, man?
Man, it's been so long.
Hey, what if my computer shut off? Anyway, say hi to the guys real quick.
Do I have to? Do I have a choice? Do I actually have to talk to these guys?
It's up to you, man.
Rich and Bob.
He's going to help you out.
We're good. Everything good. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Hey, we got to throw up the phone number tonight, Larry, is what we should do, and take some calls from some of these people. But I'd rather not today because John's not even ready. All right, we got to wrap it up. Make it quick. Let's go. We got to wrap this segment up.
Hey, look, I just want to say, great segment, guys, and looking forward to moving on to the franchise. That's all I got.
That's it? All right.
That's all I got. Let's bring the sports back. Let's go.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Dan, thanks a lot for hanging out with us tonight, man.